We've got a New York character here. This wall has seen the ages of time. Feel the history. We've got some sample colors on here, but I'm looking closely at these cracks, and we have got to handle these cracks. This green color is what is finally chosen for the wall, and it'll show up any imperfections. So we've got to take a close look here. It looks like these here are imperfections in an old paint job. It sounds solid. I can get away with simply sanding with a rough sandpaper these imperfections, smoothing them out without having to break open the wall. But I'm real concerned over here. And I'm going to tap the wall and listen for any hollow spots and any empty sounds, which is going to be a crack that we have to open up, because new paint is going to adhere, and that's going to open up anyway. That's a little bit hollow. That is hollow. So we've got some really rough spots here. I'm using a stronger, more industrial knife, and we're going to break this open right along the crack. Not digging in extraordinarily deep, using a couple different angles. So that's that spot. Now, I've always got my 5-in-1 handy, the 5-in-1 multi-tool scraper, and I can use the edge to open this up and sort of round off the edges there. You want to let those cracks breathe. At this point, I could put the straight compound, as a lot of people do, landlords and whatnot. But I like to seal these up. Something I always have on a paint job is bin primer. It's alcohol-based, very strong, and covers almost anything and has a lot of uses. So we're going to open up this bin. This stuff is awesome. You have to be a little dainty with it, though. This will not wash off anything. A brand new can will tend to drip a little bit. That's all right. This is a throwaway brush also. This is not my nice, expensive brush. But that's going to seal that up very nicely. I'll catch those drips in just a sec. Bin primer. Never go without it. Now, as I said, some of these other spots can be sanded down. I'll be going through this whole wall and sanding down other spots and smoothing things out. And that bin primer dries very fast. That's going to be ready in about 10 minutes. We're going to put our compound on that and smooth it out. All right, our bin primer is all dry. So we're going to do our first coat of compound mix. Now take a look. I've got the standard plaster of Paris and joint compound, my mixing mud pan, and my mud knives, and a little bit of tap water. You'll see a lot of contractors have these on job sites, and it's pretty simple. You can do this yourself. You take your joint compound, put it in a mud pan, and plaster of Paris is a hardening agent. Comes in a powder, and you might put 1/3 or 1/4 of plaster of Paris into your joint compound. And we're just going to touch it with water. And we're just going to mix that up. The plaster of Paris is simply used as a hardening agent on a deeper first coat of a patch to prevent cracking. So let's put this on. I'll take my wider knife. So this is just the first coat. That's going to dry and sink in a little bit. That's totally okay. I'll get a little more in there. In other words, now for simplicity's sake, we can just use pure joint compound to repair wider areas of the wall. As long as it's not real thick or deep, pure joint compound is absolutely fine. And I'll take my wider mud knife. If you get comfortable with the balance of these, really, you can do this. And you should. You can bring an old apartment back to life. Now, of course, I'm used to it. But you get familiar with the tool, and you might hold a finger or two fingers as a balancing and pressure behind the tool to get a nice, even pressure. Allow your compound to completely dry. This could take, depending on how thick it is, anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours. As you can see here, the plaster compound mix has already begun to dry because plaster of Paris is a hardening agent and dries very fast. But we'll give this some time, and then we're going to come back, sand it nice and smooth, put a second polish coat over here to smooth it out, and we'll be getting close to finally painting our wall. Now, I went ahead and did my second coat of plaster compound mix on these horrible cracks. I let that set a few hours and then lightly sanded that down until it was smooth. After that, I simply wiped down my wall, and I went ahead and rolled this whole wall with your basic water-based primer because it really needed it, the whole thing, not just this area. I took my time, went all the way top to bottom. So that's it. This wall is ready. This wall is ready for color.